My research on Netaji, Savarkar and INA was inspired by one aspect. When one found that a lot of our Sarkari historians and many from the left always abused Netaji on one count, that he had joined hands with the fascists, with Germans, Japanese, Italians, the Axis powers. And similarly, Savarkar was abused that he had helped the British in recruitment of the armies. And accidentally, while making this museum, I came across this letter, which later on I came to know is known as Kabul Thesis. A letter left by Netaji in Kabul before leaving for Germany that could not ever reach India, but he had left this letter for his friends in India, which was handed over to Sarat Bose in Paris in 1948 by Cotroni, the Italian ambassador who was there in Kabul and who had managed the entire journey from Kabul to Berlin of Netaji. Now in this letter, Netaji gives a complete plan. There are plenty of points there, like identify the places where small planes can land, identify the places where we can establish radio stations, have meetings of the tribal jirgas of the Northwest, because these tribals have been anti-British, how they will help us, because the entire plan is to raise an army and attack the British Indian forces coming via Kabul and Northwest frontier provinces, what we call today. And then in that scheme he is also mentioning to make contacts with different leaders in India, take their assistance. And within that, there's a very crucial suggestion he is making, that the new army which the British are raising in India, we must put our trusted youth into that army so that they can work for us, and when the time comes, they can cross over to us. Interestingly, a member from the Bose family challenged me that this is a fake letter and no such letter was given at all. And when I produced that, she had no answer to that. Because I told her I'm a historian and I work on facts and I work on evidences. And I'm not that kind of historian who says perhaps or maybe or this be or that be and all, unless I have the evidence with me. Now we all know what was INA. The Azad Hind Fauj composed of the soldiers of the British Indian Army, Indians, who crossed over to Azad Hind Fauj, or who were tempted when General Mohan Singh formed the INA for the first time with Pritam Singh and all. They formed the INA, they put them there. Similarly, Netaji put them in Germany, the prisoners who were taken and all. And later on, at Netaji's call in Southeast Asia, many of the Pravasi Indians who were there, who joined the INA and gave everything for the INA. Still, no linkages were there. But one knew that there was a meeting between Netaji and Veer Savarkar at Ratnagiri in 1940. No one knows the details of those meetings. I wish the CID records, etc. are made available on that. Later on, Veer Savarkar claimed that in this meeting, this was discussed about using the army and foreign assistance for struggle and all. And let's not forget that Rajbihari Bose too was a revolutionary, and with the help of the army, the Ghadar party had attempted to challenge the British. The schemes failed, but attempts were made at that time also. So one was looking into these things. Rajbihari and Savarkar had been in touch also. Then while going through the files in archives, the military intelligence reports and some of the papers of the INA, Inquiry and Relief Committee, I came across a very interesting letter written by a soldier who said that on the instructions of Savarkarji, I had joined the British Indian Army, and as per his instructions, when the opportunity came, I moved on over to Azad Hind Fauj. This was a very interesting direct evidence of this. Another letter in archives, in same military intelligence files, mentions a letter written by a soldier saying that many joined the INA at the behest of Barrister Savarkar. And these are letters of 1945, not of now, or not after 47. 47 November are these letters, which clearly establishes this link. And there is another evidence also, which Master Tara Singh wrote a piece in 1946 January, in which he mentions that he had met Netaji along with another person in Calcutta House when he was confined in that house. And there they had discussed this whole plan of seeking armed resistance during the World War to liberate India. And they had discussed the pros and consequences of that. And Master Tara Singh offered him all support. Tara Singh also goes on to mention that some of the paratroopers which landed in India, one of them at camp came and met him in Christian Sikh College in Amritsar. After 4 days, that fellow was arrested. He also mentions that the person who escorted Netaji in the train up to Peshawar came and told him one day before Netaji's disappearance was declared in Calcutta that Netaji has safely reached Peshawar. Now, all these linkages show one thing very clearly, and that is what we must understand, that we can't just go by hearsay and all, but one has to look for concrete evidence in this regard. And the revolutionaries and those who are planning military strategies, they won't be divulging their plans openly. There's a lot which goes underground, beneath, and that's what was happening during that period. And I have no doubts now to say that when Savarkar was asking the Indian youth to join the British Army, it was a very different purpose rather than serving the British or serving the British Army. And so was Netaji called in the Kabul thesis, that we should put our trusted youth in the British Army and so that they can join us and come on our side. This fact of history has to be looked into, and I'm pretty sure that much more and more and more documents will be coming in, because one file recently I saw yesterday, again of the INA Relief Committee, and I was trying to count the number of soldiers in INA from Maharashtra, and most of these were those only who had been inspired by Savarkar to join the British Indian Army.